I'm Josh Lurie, CEO and proprietor of Mustang Woodcrafters. We have an unboxing video for you today. This is our 5-gun cart. So I'm going to show you how to unpack it, what it looks like, and how to get your cart to the range. So let's go ahead and get started. When you first get your box, you want to make sure that everything on the box is undamaged. Go ahead and take out a knife or a pair of scissors. You just have the 2 on the side and the long one on top. Don't press down too far. The whole thing is covered in bubble wrap, but let's make sure that we don't go too far and gouge the cart itself. When you first open it up, you'll notice that the whole thing is covered in air bubbles or bubble wrap. So you want to take out your axle. This includes your hardware kit as well. And then we can go ahead and get all the bubbles out of here. On top, you'll have your cooler rack. You'll also have your pistol holder. A little farther down, you'll have your ammo box. Inside your ammo box, you'll have your spent shell box, your umbrella holder, and also any of the hardware for the ammo box. When we make the 5-gun cart, it is wider, so it will not fit the handles. So these handles are in the box for you as well. On the front of the cart, you'll have your accessory box. And then when you go to lift your cart, you'll have the front handle. And just reach the bottom side of the cart and lift it straight up. Underneath everything else, you'll have a piece of cardboard in here. This is where you will have your wheels. And now that we have everything out of the box, let's go ahead and start assembling. Inside of the hardware bag, you'll have your washers, your thumb screws, and your cotter pins to hold everything to the cart. You'll also have the full instructions on how to put your cart together. And you'll also have a copy of your invoice. The first thing that we want to do, we want to take off the padding on the axle. And then we also have some tape here. This holds in your shipping dowel, and all we do is we just replace the shipping dowel with your steel axle. Don't remove anything. It should just slide right in. You might need to move or jiggle a little bit to have it go in, because between the cart frame and the lower unit, you do have a couple of washers that are currently being held in place by the shipping dowel. So by replacing it with the steel axle, you're keeping those washers in place. Sometimes when I make them, you might see that there's 2 washers on one side and only 1 on the other. That's because everything is handcrafted and handmade. So there is going to be some minor movement, and I space it out so that when it closes, it's as close to center as possible. Now that we have the steel axle on, we can go ahead and get the washers. Put 1 washer on either side, and now we can put on the wheels. Depending on the length of the axle, if you get the 4-gun cart or the 5-gun cart, or the solid tires, or the wooden wagon wheels like I have here, I may have the axle be just a little bit longer than it needs to, so you have some extra washers to put on the outside. So then the wheels are held on with the cotter pins. Now that the wheels are on, let's go ahead and open up to the cart. Grab the lower backrest and the center, flip it up, don't let go. I'm going to switch hands and grab the handle on the back side and lower it down. From here, we can raise the lower unit. In your hardware bag, you may have a couple of different sizes of thumb screws. You have the short ones and the longer ones. You should only have one longer one. This is always going to be the thumb screw for the lower unit. The others are for the cooler racks and pistol holders. On the bottom side, this is where you have your thumb screw hole. Go ahead and screw that in place. And from here, we can lift your cart upright. It's currently held in place with some tape. And now we can latch your cart. On either side, you have the latch bales. And they just lock in place. The very first thing that you want to put on your cart is always going to be your ammo box. You want to make sure that it stays front end heavy so that it doesn't tip backwards and potentially break the handle or any other part of the cart. Here we have your ammo box. As I mentioned, this is a 5-gun cart ammo box. Normally when they ship, they are shipped completely together, including the handles on the outside. A 5-gun cart, because it is a little wider, it doesn't fit completely in the box. So I do have the handles of the ammo box and the screws for you to install. On the back side of the handles, we do have them identified for you, left and right. And then on the cart itself, we do have it identified left and right. On the inside of the box, you'll have some more bubble wrap. You'll have your spent shell box and your umbrella holder. As I mentioned, this is a 5-gun cart. It is a little wider, so you do need to put on your handles. My suggestion is to put in the screws a little bit so that they start to come out on the other side. Once they do, you have a rounded edge of the handle. That roundedness goes up. Just line up the holes. And from here, you can screw them in the rest of the way. Once you have your ammo box handles screwed in, you can go ahead and remove the cellophane if you would like. I would recommend that you unscrew the hinges on the back side because I do put the cellophane on before I put the hinges on. As I mentioned, the ammo box is always going to be the first thing on, last thing off on your cart. Hinges towards the back of the cart. You have a couple of feet that go on the outside of the lower unit. And it just sits right in place. The next thing you can insert that you can put on is your accessory box. The accessory box has 2 screws on the back side, and they match up with the keyhole screws on the back. You just simply line it up and give it a little tap down. You'll know that it's set when the bottom of the box is right on the top of the hinge. We then also have this spent shell box. This is set up the same way, but the screws are on the cart. This way, when you go to put it on and off, you're not scratching the cart with the screws. This is meant to be a little loose so that you can take it to and from the unloading table. The other thing to screw on would be your umbrella holder. These are pre-drilled holes with the screws already in. I do have the holes already pre-drilled for you when I did it during my final assembly phase before I boxed up your cart. It's pretty obvious which way this one will go. It'll go on the bottom, facing up, but the smaller piece I do like to have just a little bit of a rounded edge on the part facing up. So that'll give you a heads up on which way it'll go. My suggestion, screw the screws in just a little bit so that they're sticking out just a hair. You can use that as the guide to make sure that you're lined up in the hole. And then go ahead and screw them in the rest of the way. When you screw these in, make sure that you do not apply too much force. You don't want the screws to go in all the way through the side of the cart. That could potentially damage the cart or your guns if you have the screw protruding too far. So just make sure that you use a handheld screwdriver and have it be pretty well hand tight, but not too tight. Once you have your umbrella holder on, we can go ahead and put on the cooler rack. This is a bigger cooler rack than comes standard. This customer wanted a cooler rack that was a little deeper to make sure that it fit his cooler. If you do have special requests, I am always open and most of the time able to accommodate those requests. This slides in from the back side and it'll rest on the lowest backrest. It'll go in just like so. You have the two thumb screws. The last thing on the cart will be the pistol holder. Just like the cooler rack, this goes in from the front side. You still have the same inserts for the thumb screws. This is cantilevered, so it uses the stationary bar on the back side and the thumb screws in the center to make sure that your pistols stay right where they should. And it does give enough room behind the pistol holder for all of your guns to slide in and out. The very last thing to make your cart range worthy will be the axle pad. There is a slit in here where you would slide it over the axle. And this protects the butts of your guns against that steel axle. That's it. Thank you so much for watching the Mustang Woodcrafters unboxing video. If you do have any questions or concerns, please feel free to let us know by hitting the contact button on the website. Thank you so much. I'm Josh Lurie, CEO and proprietor and master craftsman of Mustang Woodcrafters. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.